Galactic Trade Station Omega-7 floated in the darkness of space like a giant metal flower. Thousands of ships came and went every day. Aliens from 100 different worlds walked through its long hallways. They bought and sold goods. They made deals. They formed friendships and enemies. The humans had arrived 3 years ago, 3 short years since they first made contact with the galaxy. Most species still did not know what to think of them. They came from a planet called Earth, a world that the Galactic Council had classified as a. This was not a compliment. It meant their planet was dangerous. It meant life there was hard and violent. It meant the creatures from that world were shaped by struggle and pain. But the humans seemed so normal. They smiled easily. They laughed at jokes. They made friends with almost anyone. Many aliens thought the classification was a mistake. Lieutenant Park stood guard outside the human delegation's meeting room. She was 28 years old with black hair tied back in a neat bun. Her uniform was clean and pressed. Her hands rested at her sides, relaxed but ready. To anyone watching, she looked like a simple soldier doing a boring job. Inside the meeting room, Captain sat across from the ambassador. There were tall, insect-like creatures with hard shells covering their bodies. They had 4 arms and large compound eyes that saw in many directions at once. Their ambassador was named, and he had come to discuss mining rights in a distant star system. Was patient. He listened to his demands. He made counteroffers. He kept his voice calm and professional. This was the 5th meeting this week, and progress was slow. Your species asks for too much, clicked. His voice came through a small translator device on his chest. The system belongs to no one. Why should humans receive 40% of the profits? Because humans discovered it, replied. Our exploration ships found the mineral deposits. Our scientists confirmed their value. Without us, they would not even know these resources exist. His mandibles clicked together in annoyance. This was how showed frustration. Discovery means nothing. Only power matters. The Empire has held territory for 10,000 years. Humans are children in this galaxy. Smiled, it was not a warm smile. Children grow up, ambassador. The meeting continued for another hour. The translator device on his chest began to make strange sounds. It crackled and popped. Some words came out wrong. Others did not come out at all. This machine fails me, said, hitting the device with one of his 4 hands. I cannot negotiate if I cannot speak. We can pause the meeting, offered. Give you time to repair it. No, stood up. His full height was nearly 8 feet tall. His shadow fell over like a dark blanket. I have wasted enough time on this station. I will find another solution. He walked toward the door, stepped aside to let him pass, but stopped. He looked down at her with his many eyes. You, he said, you will come with me, you will translate. His expression did not change. I am not a translator, ambassador. I am security personnel. All humans speak the same language. You will translate for your captain until my device is repaired. Reached toward her arm. Ambassador. His voice cut through the air like a knife. He had not moved from his chair, but something in the room had changed. The air felt heavier, colder. Do not touch her. Paused, his claw hovered inches from sleeve. She is a soldier, a tool. I require her services. She is a human being, said slowly, and I am telling you with complete sincerity, do not touch her. Other aliens were in the room, trade observers from different species, a small creature from a water world, a tall thin being made mostly of gas held in a containment suit. They all went very still. They had heard stories about humans, stories that seemed impossible, stories that gave them nightmares. This is foolishness, said, but he did not move his claw any closer. Something in his ancient instincts, buried deep in his insect brain, was screaming at him to be careful. He did not understand why. The female human was small. She was soft. She had no claws, no fangs, no armor. How could she possibly be dangerous? Lieutenant Park is under my command, continued. He stood up slowly. He was shorter than by nearly 2 feet, but somehow he seemed to fill the room. If you need translation services, we will provide a certified translator, but you will not touch any member of my team without their permission. Or what? Demanded. His pride was wounded. No species had ever spoken to an ambassador this way. What will you do, human? My empire has crushed worlds. We have ended civilizations. What could your tiny species possibly do to us? Walked toward him. Each step was calm and measured. He stopped when he was close enough to touch the ambassador's chest. On my world, said quietly, we have a saying. We say that the most dangerous creature is not the one with the biggest claws. It is the one that has learned to survive without them. His compound eyes blinked. He searched the human's face for fear and found none. He looked at the female soldier and saw the same thing. No fear, no worry, just patience. The kind of patience that predators showed when waiting for prey. You will regret this insult, said, but he pulled his claw back. He straightened his robes and walked out of the room without looking back. When he was gone, the other aliens slowly relaxed. The water creature let out a long breath. The gas being's containment suit flickered with nervous colors. Captain, one of them said, was that wise? They are powerful. They could make trouble for your species. Looked at, she had not moved from her position. Her face was calm, professional, but there was something in her eyes, something old and cold and patient. Let them try, said. Later that night, stood at a window overlooking the stars. The station hummed with life around her. Thousands of beings going about their business, unaware of how close the day had come to violence. Her communicator buzzed. It was a message from. Thank you for your restraint today. She typed back, he didn't touch me, no reason to hurt him. And if he had? Looked at her hands. They were small, soft, the hands of someone who had never done hard labor, but she knew what those hands could do. She had been trained since she was 18 years old. She knew exactly how much pressure it took to break bone. She knew where the weak points were in almost every species the humans had encountered. She typed her reply, then we would have needed a new ambassador. Somewhere on the station was plotting his revenge. He did not understand the warning he had received. He thought the humans were bluffing. He thought their strange protectiveness was weakness. He would learn, they always learned. The stars burned cold and bright outside the window, watched them for a long time. She thought about Earth, about the place where her species had been born, a world of fire and ice, of predators and prey, of endless struggle and endless survival. The galaxy thought humans were soft because they smiled and laughed and made friends easily. The galaxy did not understand that the most dangerous predators were the ones that looked harmless. Not yet, but soon they would. 3 days passed on Station Omega-7. The negotiations between humans and continued, but the air was thick with tension. Had received a new translator device, but his pride had not healed. Every time he looked at Captain, he felt anger burning in his chest. Every time he saw Lieutenant, he felt something worse. Shame. On his world, soldiers were nothing. They were tools to be used and thrown away. They did not mourn their dead warriors. They simply made more. The idea that a simple soldier could refuse an ambassador's request was beyond understanding. The idea that her captain would threaten an entire empire to protect her was madness. Decided he needed to understand these humans better. He watched them move through the station. He studied their habits. He noticed how they always seemed to know where each other were, how they checked on each other with small glances and nods, how they shared food and jokes and stories. It was disgusting, it was inefficient, and yet it fascinated him. On the 3rd day, found what he was looking for. Lieutenant was alone in a cargo bay on the lower levels. She was inspecting a shipment of supplies, checking containers against a list on her. No other humans were nearby. No witnesses. Entered the cargo bay quietly. His 4 legs made soft clicking sounds on the metal floor, but the hum of machinery covered the noise. He watched her work for a moment. She was focused on her task, her back turned to him. "Lieutenant Park," he said. Turned. Her expression remained neutral, but her body shifted slightly. Her weight moved to the balls of her feet. Her hands stayed at her sides, but her fingers spread apart. "Ambassador," she said, "this area is restricted to authorized personnel." "I am an ambassador. All areas are open to me." He walked closer. His compound eyes studied her face. "I wish to understand something." "You should speak with Captain. He handles all diplomatic questions." "I do not want to speak with your captain," stopped 3 feet away from her. At this distance he could see every detail of her face, the small lines around her eyes, the faint scar on her chin, the steady rhythm of her breathing. "I want to speak with you." Said nothing, she waited. "Your captain threatened my empire," continued. "He spoke to me as if I were a child, and he did this because of you, a simple soldier, a female, someone who, on any sensible world, would have no value at all." "I see. I do not understand this. I have ruled systems. I have commanded armies. I have ended the lives of millions with a single order," leaned closer. "And yet your captain looked at me like I was the one in danger. Why?" "Because you were," said simply. Made a sound that might have been laughter. "You cannot be serious. Look at me. I am twice your size. My shell can stop bullets. My claws can cut through steel. What could you possibly do to me?" "I am asking you politely," said. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "Please return to the diplomatic wing. This conversation is not appropriate." "I do not take orders from lesser species," grabbed her wrist. The moment his claw touched her skin, everything changed. Moved, her body flowed like water, twisting in a way that seemed impossible. Before could understand what was happening, pain exploded through his primary grasping limb. She had found the joint where his shell was weakest and bent it backward. The crack of breaking chitin echoed through the cargo bay. Tried to pull away, but she was faster. Her foot swept his legs from under him. His massive body crashed to the deck. Before he could rise, she was on top of him, her knee pressing into his thorax, exactly where his secondary heart was located. "Do not move," she said. Her voice had not changed. It was still calm, still polite, but her eyes had transformed. They were cold now, empty. The eyes of something that had killed before and would kill again without hesitation. "How?" gasped. His translator struggled to convey his shock. "How is this possible?" "On Earth," said, "we evolved alongside predators that could kill us in seconds. Giant cats with fangs as long as your claws, bears that weighed more than small ships, wolves that hunted in packs, snakes with poison that could stop your heart in minutes." She pressed harder on his thorax. He felt his shell beginning to crack. "We did not have armor like yours. We did not have claws or fangs. We were soft, weak, easy to kill." She tilted her head, studying him like a scientist studying an insect. "So we learned. We learned where bodies break. We learned how to use our enemy's strength against them. We learned to fight when we were tired, when we were hurt, when we were dying." Secondary hearts were beating so fast he thought they might explode. He had commanded armies. He had conquered worlds. And now he was pinned to the floor by a creature half his size, and he could not move a single limb. "Your exoskeleton is impressive," continued. "Very strong, but I have studied anatomy. I know every joint, every weak point, every place where the shell is thin." She pressed her thumb against a spot on his neck. Pain shot through his entire body. "This is where your primary nerve cluster is located. If I press hard enough, you will be paralyzed forever. Should I demonstrate?" "No," whispered. "No, please. Your species thinks humans are weak because we are kind, because we smile and laugh and make friends." Leaned closer. Her face was inches from his compound eyes. "We are kind because we can afford to be, because we know exactly how much violence we are capable of. We choose peace not because we fear war, but because we have seen what we become when we stop holding back." She released the pressure on his nerve cluster. Slowly, carefully, she stood up. She stepped back and offered him her hand. Stared at it. A moment ago, that hand had been a weapon. Now it was offering help. The warning was not to protect me from you, said. It was to protect you from me. Did not take her hand. He struggled to his feet on his own, cradling his shattered limb. His pride demanded that he threaten her. His honor demanded revenge. But his body was shaking, and his mind kept replaying those few seconds of violence. He had been helpless, completely, utterly helpless. This is not over, he said, but his voice was weak, uncertain. Yes, said, it is. Go to the medical bay, ambassador. Have them fix your arm. And when you sit down at the negotiation table tomorrow, remember this moment. Remember that every human in that room could do what I did. Remember that we are holding back. She picked up her and returned to checking the cargo containers. As if nothing had happened. As if she had not just defeated one of the most powerful beings on the station with her bare hands. Limped toward the door. His mind was spinning. Everything he knew about humans was wrong. Everything the galaxy believed about Earth was incomplete. They were not weak, they were not soft, they were not harmless. They were predators wearing the masks of friends. And he had been foolish enough to forget that even the smallest predator has teeth. The Galactic Council chamber was enormous. It could hold representatives from over 500 species, and today, almost every seat was filled. Word had spread quickly through the station. An ambassador had been injured by a human soldier. The details were unclear, but everyone wanted answers. Admiral stood at the center of the chamber. He was 62 years old, with hair cut short, and a face lined by decades of service. He wore his dress uniform, the medals on his chest catching the light from the massive display screens that surrounded the room. The council president, a floating sphere of pure energy from a dimension humans could barely comprehend, addressed the chamber. Admiral, you have been called here to explain the actions of Lieutenant Park. Ambassador of the Empire has filed a formal complaint. He claims he was attacked without reason. Nodded slowly. With respect, Council President, that is not what happened. Then explain. I would be happy to. Touched a control on his wrist. The display screens flickered and changed. A blue and green planet appeared, rotating slowly in the darkness of space. This is Earth, the of every human on this station. The aliens in the chamber studied the image. Many of them had seen planets before. Earth looked ordinary, pretty even. The Galactic Council has classified Earth as a Category 7, continued. Some of you know what that means. Most of you do not, so let me show you. The image changed. Now it showed a massive storm, a swirling monster of clouds and lightning that covered half a continent. This is called a hurricane. They form over our oceans several times a year. Wind speeds can reach 300 kilometers per hour. They destroy cities. They kill thousands. On Earth, we consider them a normal part of life. The image changed again. The ground was splitting apart, buildings falling into darkness. Earthquakes. The surface of our planet is broken into giant plates that constantly move and grind against each other. When they shift, the ground shakes. Cities fall. Mountains rise. We have learned to build structures that can survive this, but the danger never goes away. Another image. A mountain exploding, fire and ash filling the sky. Volcanoes. Our planet is still alive, still churning with heat and pressure. Sometimes that pressure escapes. When it does, entire regions are buried in ash and fire. Our ancestors watched mountains explode and thought the gods were angry. Paused. He looked around the chamber, making eye contact with as many species as he could. But these are just the planet itself. Let me show you what lives there. The screen showed a massive creature with thick fur and claws as long as knives. This is called a bear. It can weigh over 600 kilograms. It can run faster than most humans. Its claws can tear through flesh and bone with a single swipe. He let that sink in. Humans hunt these for sport. Another image, a great cat with golden fur and a mane like fire. The lion. For thousands of years, humans lived alongside these predators. They killed us. We killed them. Eventually, we won. Another, a massive reptile with scales and terrible jaws. The crocodile. This creature has existed for over 200 million years. It survived the extinction event that killed the dinosaurs. It is the perfect predator, unchanged because it did not need to change. Smiled grimly. Humans make shoes from their skin. The images kept coming. Wolves, sharks, snakes with poison that could kill in minutes, spiders that lived in houses, insects that spread disease. The council chamber grew quieter and quieter. But the most dangerous thing on Earth is not an animal, said. It is this. The screen showed something simple, clear, harmless looking. Water. 70% of our planet is covered in this substance. Most species in this chamber would die if they ingested it. It is corrosive. It carries disease. It drowns. It floods. It falls from the sky as ice that can kill. He paused. We drink it. We swim in it. We play in it for fun. A ripple of horror passed through the chamber. Our atmosphere contains a gas called oxygen. In high concentrations, it is toxic. It causes fire. It causes rust. It breaks down materials that would last forever in a proper environment. Spread his hands. We breathe it. Every moment of every day we breathe poison. He walked slowly around the center of the chamber, letting his words sink in. Our sun bombards us with radiation that causes cancer. Our seasons change so dramatically that water freezes into solid ice, and then melts, and then evaporates into gas. Our gravity is strong enough to crush species from low-gravity worlds. Our bacteria and viruses are so aggressive that they could wipe out entire populations of aliens in days. Stopped walking. His voice grew soft, but it carried to every corner of the chamber. Every single day on Earth is a fight for survival. Every human who has ever lived has fought against their own planet just to exist. We did not evolve in paradise. We evolved in a war zone. He looked directly at the delegation. Ambassador was there, his arm wrapped in medical bandages, his eyes unable to meet the human's gaze. When Ambassador grabbed Lieutenant Park, he triggered 300,000 years of survival instinct. He touched a member of her family without permission. On Earth, that is how you get killed. By predators, by other humans, by anything that sees an opportunity. Walked toward the section of the chamber. Lieutenant Park did not attack the ambassador. She defended herself, and she showed remarkable restraint. She broke one limb. She could have killed him. Any human could have killed him. We are trained from birth to fight, to survive, to protect each other with everything we have. The chamber was completely silent now. You asked why humans protect each other so fiercely, said. This is why. Because on our world, alone means dead. Because we survived by working together, by fighting together, by dying for each other when necessary. Every human you meet carries the weight of 1,000,000 years of struggle in their bones. He turned back to the council president. The Empire has filed a complaint, I understand, but I want this council to understand something very clearly. His voice hardened. Humans did not leave Earth because our planet was dying. We left because we had conquered it. Every predator, every disease, every disaster, we beat them all. And now we are here in your galaxy trying to make friends. He smiled. It was not a friendly smile. But if anyone threatens our people, they will learn why Earth is called a. They will learn why we are the only intelligent species our planet ever produced. They will learn that the most dangerous creature in the galaxy is not the one with the biggest claws or the strongest armor. Admiral straightened to his full height. It is the one that learned to survive without them. It is the one that looked at a world of death and said, "This is home." It is the human. The council chamber remained silent for a long, long time. No one filed any more complaints against the human delegation. The medical bay on Station Omega 7 was quiet. Most of the lights had been dimmed for the night cycle. Only the soft hum of machines and the gentle beeping of monitors broke the silence. Ambassador lay in a regeneration pod. The clear liquid surrounding him was slowly repairing his shattered arm, rebuilding the broken chitin piece by piece. The process would take several more days. Bones healed slower than human bones. This was something had never thought about before. Now he could not stop thinking about it. Doctor entered the medical bay. She was small, even for a human, with kind eyes and gentle hands. She checked the monitors around pod and made notes on her. "How are you feeling, Ambassador?" she asked. His compound eyes tracked her movements. "I am confused." "About your treatment, the regeneration process is." "No, about your species," shifted in the pod. The liquid rippled around him. "I have commanded armies. I have been trained in combat since I was a larva. I have killed enemies with my bare claws, and yet a female half my size defeated me in seconds." Nodded, she pulled up a chair and sat beside the pod. "You want to understand how she did it?" "Yes." "Then I will explain." Crossed her legs and settled in like a teacher preparing for a long lesson. "First, you need to understand what humans are, what we evolved to be. You are predators, the Admiral made that clear." "We are more than predators," smiled. "We are persistence hunters. Do you know what that means?" Shook his head. "On Earth, most predators rely on speed or strength. They chase prey, catch it quickly, and kill it. If they fail, they rest and try again later. But humans are different. We are not the fastest animals on Earth. We are not the strongest. We cannot fly. We cannot breathe underwater. On paper, we should be easy prey." She leaned forward. "But we have two advantages that no other Earth predator has. First, we sweat. Our bodies can cool themselves while we move. Other animals must stop and pant to cool down. We do not. Second, we have endurance. We can run for hours, days if necessary." Process this information. So you chase prey until it cannot run anymore. Exactly. Our ancestors would pick a target and follow it. Not running, just walking, jogging, never stopping. The prey would sprint away, think it was safe, stop to rest. And then the human would appear again, walking, always walking, never stopping. His voice grew softer. The prey would run again, and again, and again, but each time it grew more tired. Each time its body overheated more. Eventually, after hours or days of this, the prey would collapse. Its heart would give out from exhaustion, and the human would walk up to it, calm and patient, and end its suffering. Felt something cold crawl through his body. "That is terrifying." "That is what we are," nodded. "We are not designed for quick fights. We are designed to never give up, to keep going when any sensible creature would stop, to push through pain and injury and exhaustion until we achieve our goal or die trying." She stood up and walked to a display screen on the wall. With a few touches, she brought up an image. It showed a human running through a desert, the sun blazing overhead. "This is an event we call an ultramarathon. Humans run for over 100 kilometers, through deserts, through mountains, through any terrain you can imagine, not because they have to, because they want to, because pushing our bodies to the limit is enjoyable to us." The image changed. A human climbing a frozen mountain, ice clinging to their face. "We climb the highest mountains on our planet. The air is so thin it can kill us. The cold can freeze our limbs, but we climb anyway." Another image. A human swimming through dark water, surrounded by sharks. "We dive into oceans full of predators. We explore caves that could collapse at any moment. We jump out of aircraft and fall through the sky for fun." Turned back to, "Lieutenant Park is not special, Ambassador. By human standards, she is ordinary. Every human you meet has the same capabilities, the same endurance, the same refusal to give up." "But she was so fast," said, "so precise." "Because she has been trained. Humans have spent thousands of years developing ways to fight. We call them martial arts. They teach us how to use an enemy's strength against them, how to find weak points, how to disable opponents larger and stronger than ourselves. Paused. Lieutenant Park has been training since she was a child. She knows exactly how to break a body, any body, including yours. Was silent for a long moment. Then he asked, has she killed before? Hesitated, then she nodded. She served on Earth before joining the Galactic Diplomatic Corps. There was a mission. She was injured badly, a broken leg, 3 cracked ribs, internal bleeding. She should have died. Yes, instead she walked 12 kilometers through hostile terrain. She completed her objective. She eliminated her target. She reported for medical attention only after filing her mission report. His voice was matter of fact. The doctors said she should not have been able to move. Her body should have shut down from pain and blood loss. But she kept going, because that is what humans do. Stared at the ceiling of the medical bay. His entire understanding of the universe was shifting. We thought you were weak, he said finally. We thought your kindness was a flaw. Many species think that, sat back down beside his pod. They see us smile and laugh and make friends. They see us help strangers and show mercy to enemies. They think we are soft. She looked directly into his compound eyes. We are kind because we choose to be, because we know what we are capable of, because we have seen what happens when humans stop being kind. Her voice grew quiet. We have nearly destroyed ourselves many times, wars that killed millions, weapons that could end all life on our planet. We have looked into the darkness inside ourselves, and we have been terrified by what we saw. Stood up. Kindness is not weakness, Ambassador. Kindness is strength under control. Every time a human smiles at you, they are making a choice to be gentle when they could be violent, a choice to be patient when they could be deadly. She walked toward the door, then stopped. The warning your captain received was real. When humans say, do not touch her, they are not making a threat. They are offering you a gift. They are giving you a chance to walk away before you discover what happens when that choice is taken away. She looked back at him one final time. Lieutenant Park showed you mercy, Ambassador. She could have killed you. She could have crippled you permanently. Instead, she gave you a broken arm and a lesson. Smile was gentle but sad. I suggest you learn from it. She left. The door closed behind her with a soft hiss. Lay in the regeneration pod, surrounded by healing liquid, thinking about everything he had learned. About persistence, hunters who never stopped. About kindness that was really controlled violence. About a species that had conquered their own death world and now walked among the stars, smiling and friendly and unbelievably, impossibly dangerous. For the first time in his long life, Ambassador understood fear. True fear. The fear of something that looked harmless but was not. The fear of a predator that wore the face of a friend. The fear of humans. And somewhere in the back of his mind, a small voice whispered that this fear was the thing he had ever felt. 1 month passed on Station Omega 7. The seasons did not change in space, but everything else did. The Empire had recalled Ambassador. Officially, it was for medical treatment. Unofficially, everyone knew the truth. He had become a symbol of failure, a reminder that the mighty could be humbled by a single human. His political career was over. But something unexpected happened before he left. Requested a private meeting with Lieutenant Park. They met in a small observation room overlooking the stars. Stood by the window, her hands clasped behind her back. Entered slowly, his repaired arm still wrapped in light bandages. Lieutenant Park, he said, his voice was different now, quieter, humbler. Ambassador turned to face him. Her expression was neutral, professional. They stood in silence for a moment, then did something that shocked every who later heard about it. He lowered his head. Among his people, this was the deepest form of respect. It was reserved for elders, for heroes, for those who had proven themselves worthy of honor. I apologize, he said, For my actions, for my arrogance, for everything. Said nothing, she waited. I have spent my entire life believing that power meant size, strength, numbers. I thought the universe belonged to those who could take it by force. Raised his head. You showed me I was wrong. I showed you what happens when you threaten one of us, said simply. That is all. No, you showed me more than that. Walked to the window and stood beside her, looking out at the stars. You showed me that true power is not about destruction. It is about control. The ability to destroy, but the choice not to. The strength to kill, but the wisdom to spare. He turned to face her. I have commanded fleets. I have ordered the death of worlds, but I have never once shown mercy to an enemy, never once chose peace when war was possible. His compound eyes reflected the distant stars. You could have killed me. You should have killed me by the laws of my own people. Instead, you taught me a lesson and let me live. Killing you would have caused problems, said. Wars, diplomatic incidents, dead soldiers on both sides. Is that the only reason? Was quiet for a moment, then she said no. Then why? Because you were afraid. Her voice softened slightly. When I had you pinned, when you understood what I could do, I saw fear in your eyes, real fear, the kind that changes people. She looked at him. I wanted you to live with that fear, to learn from it, to become better because of it. Made a sound that might have been laughter but sadder. You succeeded. I know. They stood together at the window, two former enemies, watching the universe spin slowly around them. The Empire will send a new ambassador next month, said. I made sure of it, someone younger, someone who will listen, someone who will not make my mistakes. That is wise. I also recommended a new treaty, a full alliance with the human delegation, military cooperation, cultural exchange, everything your captain was asking for and more. Paused. The Empire agreed. Turned to look at him. For the first time, there was surprise on her face. They agreed because of what you did to me, explained. Word spread through our empire. The story of an ambassador defeated by a human half his size. At first, there was anger, calls for revenge. But then the wiser voices spoke up. They said that any species that could produce warriors like you was not an enemy we wanted. They said that humans would make better friends than foes. So my attack on you led to peace. Yes, clicked his mandibles in what might have been a smile. Strange, is it not? I came to this station to secure mining rights. Instead, I secured an alliance, all because you broke my arm. Almost smiled, almost, you are welcome. The door opened behind them. Captain entered, followed by a tall in formal robes, the new ambassador. Lieutenant Park, ambassador, nodded to both of them. This is ambassador, she will be taking over the negotiations. Was different from, smaller, more cautious. She kept a respectful distance from the humans, her eyes watchful but not hostile. I have heard much about you, Lieutenant Park, said. Her translator rendered her voice as soft and formal. The stories do not do you justice. I hope we will have no need for stories, replied. I prefer peace to violence. As do I, bowed slightly. The wish to understand humans better, we request a cultural exchange, teachers, students, soldiers learning from soldiers. Nodded, we would be honored. The negotiations that followed were quick and friendly. The new treaty was signed within a week. Human advisors were assigned to border stations. Scholars came to study Earth history. Slowly, carefully, two species that had nearly gone to war began to build something better. On the day the treaty was officially announced, there was a reception in the station's grand hall. Hundreds of aliens from dozens of species gathered to celebrate. Humans moved through the crowd, shaking hands, making jokes, forming friendships. Stood with near the edge of the room, watching the celebration. You started all of this, he said quietly. One broken arm, and now we have an alliance with one of the oldest empires in the galaxy. I just defended myself, replied. Anyone would have done the same. No, not anyone, looked at her with pride. You showed restraint, you showed wisdom, you showed them what humans really are. Ambassador approached them, moving with careful respect. Lieutenant Park, Captain, I have a question if you will permit it. Of course, said. I have studied your species since I received this assignment. I have read your history, your wars, your art, your science. I understand your biology now. I understand your psychology. Paused. But there is one thing I still do not understand. What is that? Why do you fight so hard for each other? Why do you risk everything for people who are not your family, not your blood, not your species? And exchanged a look, then spoke. On Earth, we have a concept. We call it family, but it does not require shared blood. When someone becomes family, we would burn worlds to keep them safe. She gestured at the humans in the room. Every person here is my family. Every human on this station would die for me, and I would die for them. Process this. That seems inefficient. Perhaps, smiled. But it is why we survived. It is why we conquered our. It is why we are here, among the stars, making friends with species that once looked down on us. She looked out at the celebration. Humans and aliens laughing together, dancing together, building a future together. The galaxy called Eartha, she said softly. They meant it as a warning. They meant it to mark us as dangerous, as something to be feared and avoided. But they were right in ways they did not understand. She turned back to, for anyone who threatens what we love, we are death itself. But for those who stand with us, who treat us with respect, who become our family, her smile grew warmer. For them, we are the greatest friends the universe has ever known. The reception continued late into the night cycle. Stories were told, bonds were formed, and across the galaxy, species who had once dismissed humans as primitive newcomers began to see them with new eyes. Not with contempt, with respect, with friendship, and perhaps wisely, with just a little bit of fear. Because the humans had taught the galaxy an important lesson, one that would be remembered for generations to come. Do not touch what they love. Do not threaten what they protect. Do not mistake their kindness for weakness. And whatever you do, never forget that the most dangerous creature in the universe is the one that has learned to smile while hiding its teeth. The stars burned bright outside the station windows, and somewhere in the vastness of space, the small blue planet called Earth continued its endless dance around its sun, waiting, patient, ready. Home to the humans, home to the species that had learned to conquer everything, including themselves. And now, finally, the galaxy understood.